Welcome to the podcast about Transformers comics, toys, and everything in between. I'm Onyx Prime with my two co-hosts here.
Hi, I'm Computron.
Hi, Kilobyte.
Moving on with our comic discussion for today's episode takes us to IDW Escalation. And as always, spoiler warning, so if you haven't read it already, we highly recommend you go and read it and then come back and listen to the podcast. Now, onwards. Both Computron and myself have read the series already, but this is Kilobyte's first time, and we are excited to hear his thoughts about the series. But before we dive into that, Computron, do you mind telling us some fun facts?
Yeah. So, you know the usual, the basics. The comic was first released November 29th, 2006, and the last one was May 2nd, 2007. The writer was Simon Furman, and the artist was E.J. Sue, and the colors were by John Roch and Zach Atkinson. So, fun facts. T-SPAN is one letter away from C-SPAN, the U.S. government and public affairs channel. Curious. The word Takara can be seen on the book by Verity's hand as she set off the trap. And, last but not least, Skywarp is colored like Thundercracker throughout the entire third issue. Now, Kilobyte, do you mind giving us a short summary of the comics?
Will do. The story centers on two plot threads, which one is the activities of the human group known as the Machination, and the Decepticons attempting to exploit the OR-13 energon discovered by Starscream in the previous series. The Machination kidnaps Sunstreaker, while Ratchet and Ironhide violate orders to try and find him. The Earthbound operations of the Autobots and Decepticons come into direct and open conflict as the Decepticons initiate Phase 2 and the Autobots attempt to counter it, with Megatron and Optimus Prime going toe-to-toe in battle. What was not so long ago just another skirmish in the Cold War between the two alien forces heats up very rapidly. This information was taken from the wiki.
Well, what are your first thoughts on this, Kilobyte?
I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun, especially in some scenes with Optimus. He's just kind of very cold, and he just doesn't care what's going on. He's just going for Megatron, and I found that very funny. But I really enjoyed it.
Computron, any first thoughts before we dive into main plot points?
Give me the Battle Simulator Winnebago.
So, I guess starting out, Hunter and Sunstreaker end up going missing after their death is sort of faked, right? Like it is faked, right? But like this, we've already done the spoiler warning. It was faked. What's your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's this specific comic. I'm trying not to overlap with Devastation on this, but this one, it's it's the biggest cliffhanger in the entire comic, and so it kind of leaves you wondering. But you almost didn't want to, you almost didn't want to believe watching Sunstreaker just get blown up to smithereens with Hunter inside. And I read it, and it was my second time reading it, and like as I saw that scene, I'm like, Sunstreaker, no.
That scene caught me off guard because I wasn't expecting it to actually like show the car like all blown up and everything. So I'm like, wow, I really just killed him, and I'm like, wow, okay.
Kind of like, you're reading this and you kind of get like the old school kind of comic book vibe from this, and then out of nowhere, wait, did they just kill Sunstreaker and Hunter the human? What just happened?
Almost like immediately find ourselves watching Hunter going underneath surgery. But for what? What is he going for surgery for? So many questions. What is happening here?
Tune in next time.
Tune in next time, or at the end of this episode. So on top of that, Hot Rod pulls a typical Hot Rod move and exposes cover in the middle of a fight on a border against the Decepticons in front of a bunch of humans.
Yeah, to give a little context, Megatron's Phase 2 is just trying to create a war between two factions, right?
Right.
And so the Decepticons are trying to make it kind of be like, oh, this human faction is attacking this human faction. There's no robots at all. Nobody's here meddling with this. And then suddenly see Hot Rod just driving on the battlefield like, hey, I'm here. I'll just transform. It doesn't matter.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
I love the commentary. I just like love the commentary. It's like one of my bullet points. Is like I think like one of the quotes is it's like from like a Russian general that's like on the radio, and he goes, "We appear to have an American F-22 Raptor being shot at by some rally vehicle, and a police car is also under fire from a space shuttle." Like, try not to be suspicious, but some of this stuff don't mix.
It's good stuff. So one of my favorite parts about this battle, like eventually Optimus and Megatron battle it out. And I just love the humans are just standing there, surprise face and everything. I was gonna say Shockachu, you know, the meme with Pikachu going, but that's kind of what they're doing.
I like like kind of like the back pedal before that. I liked how Optimus was like you didn't. Well, first off, we finally get to see him use his trailer in this
Little roller.
comic, and yeah, and he like they teleport in, and he like has his trailer kind of like dropped off, and like in the back you can kind of see it opening up. I'm like, oh, okay, is he gonna like use that? What's he using it for? And Optimus is just like doozy doo 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 doo, and he's just driving around. And then Blitzwing gets him in his crosshairs. And right before Blitzwing takes the shot, the trailer shoots Blitzwing. And you're like, oh, okay, I guess that was planned. Sure.
Yeah, oh, I love that scene because Optimus is just driving and everybody's like telling him, "Hey, you have someone in your front. You have someone in your front." He's like, "It's okay, it's okay." And then suddenly Blitzwing gets shot, and he's like, Roller saw it from once we landed, so I already knew he was there." And I'm like, "Okay, sure."
It's pretty funny. And then, so one of the other plots going on in this comic is Ironhide and Ratchet are with Veridity on a secret mission to figure out like what happened to Hunter and Sunstreaker. Both bots are in vehicle mode, waiting for the humans to get back from this like abandoned building. And about 10 minutes have passed without like Ratchet and Ironhide hearing back from Veridity, who went into this building. So like they're like, oh no, they're not responding. Ironhide then decides he is going to go into the building. Not in robot mode, mind you, but in car mode, just driving through this building, just driving into it. I thought that was hilarious.
OSHA intensifies.
Right.
I like I think that's like on the same scene where the humans were trying to escape with I think it was a fake Sunstreaker like on the trailer.
Yes.
And like they're like, oh, we're almost home free, and then Optimus is just standing there, and they like hit his legs. They're like, oh, you'd think the driver would be paying attention about where he's going, but no, he missed a 25-foot tall robot and ran right into his legs. Excellent.
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
They are secret agents.
Super secret agent, man.
I do like how they use the little humanoid holograms to their advantage.
Right.
When they need information stuff, since it can go through walls and everything. I like how they use that, not just use it in vehicle mode when they're driving, but they can also use it to, in this case, they were helping Verity.
Yeah. There's some pretty good uses of the hologram in this.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I wasn't expecting like the part where they picked up Verity was kind of just a surprise to me because I thought, oh, they can't necessarily do any physical thing with the holograms, but nope.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Totally fair. So I guess switching back to the other plot point. So I think it's Megatron takes out Optimus.
Yes.
And Autobots attempt to avenge him with blaster fire, but Megatron is souped up on Ore 13 and just stands there in mint condition, just saying, I almost felt that. That gave me chills.
Like that, and like my favorite part is that we finally get to see the G1 Megatron pistol.
Yes.
Oh yeah, so good.
And then like watching the people with the G1 Megatron pistol just like blast things like completely and total annihilation of whatever's in front of the gun. It's amazing.
Yeah. I like how Hot Rod they're trying to get the Decepticons have made these artificial human bodies that they can use to persuade the military, and that's how they kind of get contact to the humans. And then after a while, that body composes and disappears, so there's no trace of who did it. I like how Hot Rod focus on that body so they can figure out how they're doing it and where they're doing it through the tissue on it. and he's just holding it like a little plushie, so it doesn't run away. I thought it was funny.
Oh, and sorry, back to the super roided out Megatron. You remember, like, so part of the whole thing was is that you know, we saw, like, I think the Autobots, when they were laying down fire on the Megatron, one of them actually got a shot into Megatron's cannon and like completely blew it up. And you're like, oh no, he's not gonna go use his cannon. And then, you know, you go a few pages later down the road and he just starts shooting laser beams out of his mouth. You're like, he didn't need the cannon. So you thought Megatron needed the cannon? Guess what? He's got lasers out of his mouth.
What a boss. What a boss
Yeah.
move. So we're gonna flip back and forth here. So back to the human side of things. So we find out Veridity and
Don't remember his name.
who's the other person? He's some sort of like car junkie person.
Yeah, he's like a mechanic.
Yeah, he's like a mechanic, and they need some sort of.
Look, coming from two guys that read the comics, it's okay to say we don't remember because he's not that important.
No, he's honestly not. He's completely forget. I think it's Jimmy. I don't know. We're gonna call him Jimmy from here on out. So Verity and Jimmy are like knocked out. Send us an email if we got it wrong, please. So Verity and Jimmy are knocked out, and they need some sort of medical attention or something. And so the Autobots decide to orbital bounce them to, I think, the Ark, right? But they find out that, which we saw even earlier, it's not meant for organic material. So they are in worse condition than they were before. What's your thoughts on that?
Good old Ratchet.
Good old Ratchet.
Yeah, he's like, well, I killed him. Now I got to bring them back.
And he does it in the most sassy
Oof.
way possible. Typical.
Typical. Yeah, this is where we start to see some of the Transformers, like Prime series Ratchet and this IDW version slowly begin to cross over and become the one Ratchet we know and love and more than meets the eye. Good stuff. That's all I have in my notes. Do you guys have anything else you want to touch upon before we go to our next segment?
Big shot cometh.
I do. I like it when Megatron calls Skywarp to help him get out of there because he's getting like overwhelmed by the Or-13, and he just transformed into a little pistol. And Skywarp just opened his canopy and he just goes inside. He's like, "Okay, I'm safe. Just take me out of here." It's very funny.
Alrighty. On to the next segment. We don't have any new emails today, but we have a possible crossover event coming up with another podcast. I won't say who. You'll have to stay tuned in or pay attention to our Twitter. Find out then together. But I'm going to keep it a secret. So, any ending thoughts here about the comic overall?
It was a good segue into the next one, Devastation, the last of the trilogy.
Yeah? Are you excited for Devastation?
Six shot cometh.
Yeah.
How about you, Kilobyte?
I really enjoyed the art and I really enjoyed the story because it's a little bit different than normal. Because here the Autobots are trying to be a little bit more sneaky, and the Decepticons are kind of causing more chaos rather than just being kind of attacking anywhere just to get resources. So they're doing the whole phases that Megatron puts in motion time he tries to take over a planet. So I thought that was pretty cool, and this is one of the first times that I see the whole phases with Megatron. So I thought that was pretty cool too.
Pretty cool. On to the next one. Do we have any news for our listeners out there? Any new toys? Any new things we want to talk about before we end it?
The only toy is I got the 6-shot toy finally came in.
Six shot cometh.
Oh yeah, I have that still. You have to come
Yeah.
pick it up. Maybe there'll be cookies involved. You just gotta let me know what day it is.
Yeah.
Inside joke, listeners.
Well, we can talk about it later. But yeah, I have the 6-shot, so I'm excited to mess around with that.
Ooh. How about you, Computron?
On the other hand, I have a phase sixer as well.
Oh, do tell.
Our Lord and not so much Savior, Overlord. I have him, and yeah, pretty much that. I know. Oh, and then also I know Primus or Onyx. I'm sorry, Primus. Onyx has been painting me a gnaw. I'm pretty sure I said that last episode though.
I think you did. You still gotta pick it up from me. Or I gotta drop it off. Maybe I'll drop it off tomorrow. I'll come and get Dutch Bros and I'll drop it off.
Copy John cometh.
That got so weird so fast. All right. Kilobyte, do you mind reading us out?
If you enjoyed this episode, consider sharing it with your friends and subscribing. Thank you so much for listening. Till all are one.
Till all are one.
Till all are one.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Swerve's Bar Podcast. You can also find us on Twitter at Swerve's Bar. If you're interested in more content, try checking out the spin-off D&D series, Transform and Roll Out, Rise of the World Killers.